And joining us right now, Hall of Famer Dan Fouts, a Bay Area product, and one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, quite frankly. Dan, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
That's good to be with you guys, Matt. Thank you.
Yeah, there's three things we want to talk to you about today, and your name, to me, fits every one. One is the Golden State Warriors have a couple veteran players who may spend their entire career with the Warriors, Curry, Draymond Green, and Klay Thompson. And I want to just compare and contrast that with you staying in one place in San Diego your whole career. We have the A's moving to Vegas. Want to compare that with San Diego moving to L.A. And then, of course, want to get into the 49er quarterback situation. How is all three of those okay?
Well, yeah, they're very predictable, but yeah, let's go.
Okay, my first question is this. Why did you spend your whole career with San Diego?
Well, San Diego's a nice place to be, number one. But the other thing is that early in my career, we were not very good, and I was trying to get out. We didn't have the free agency that we have now in the NFL. 1974 strike, the motto was no freedom, no football. Well, that didn't go very far. So, but once things turned around, obviously it was great to play for Don Coryell and the Chargers. But, we didn't have the movement, so players were kind of restricted as to how they could go away from a team or try to improve their lot in life. So luckily for me, things turned around, and I was happy to be in San Diego for those 15 years.
Let me ask you this. Did when you were in San Diego, do you ever feel like you took a, quote, hometown discount?
Wow, that's a good question. I think every contract I had was a discount. Especially when you compare it to today's salaries, but let's not go there, okay?
No. I mean, did you ever say, you know what, I want to be in San Diego so much, it doesn't mean that much that some other quarterbacks who aren't as good as me are making more?
Oh, that thought never crossed my mind. I wanted to make as much as possible, and I wanted to stay in San Diego. So I wanted to have my cake and eat it too. And
right.
Fortunately, things worked out well. We had a very memorable span there with Coryell and that great offense that we had.
Dan, my family's from San Diego, so they're very familiar with your career. And, after the 1982 season, you guys had, you played 7 playoff games, but your last playoff game was in that 82 year. You signed the 6-year deal in 1983. At the time, makes it one of the most lucrative in football. Do you think that, one, that kind of deal is available right now to quarterbacks going on their age 32, 33 season like you were? And secondly, do you feel like it was because of what you were paid previously for or what you were being paid to do in the future? Because I think that's what a lot of people are trying to grapple with. Should players and ownership essentially reward what you've done prior or what they expect you to do down the line?
Well, it's probably a combination of both, and it depends on which franchise and what owner and the player himself. But, players are playing longer, especially quarterbacks are playing longer these days because of the rules, the way they protect the quarterback. So you can see that once you have a franchise quarterback, you should be rewarding him and keeping him with the franchise as long as possible. And if that means paying top dollar, fine, because he's probably going to be able to play out the entire contract.
Dan Fouts joining us on 95.7 The Game, Hall of Fame quarterback for the San Diego Chargers, Bay Area product. I don't want to get into your business, but did you make the most money in your career the last year or two of your carear? Or was it when you were in your prime?
Year. Yeah, the last year was my high point, and it was great. I mean, obviously, I felt rewarded by by the team, and
definitely,
I was ready to give it my best and go out on top. It didn't work out that way, but I was top paid. Yeah.
Well, it sounds to me like there was loyalty both ways, quite frankly, between you and the Chargers.
Yeah, I think so. There was a change in ownership there. Things kind of turned a little bit sour because they fired Don Coryell, and I knew I was next. That's usually the way it goes in a regime change. You fire the general, and then the colonel goes next.
Well, speaking of ownership groups, Dan, obviously there's one out here in Oakland that is going to be moving the team in the foreseeable future to Las Vegas. You played your entire career in San Diego, and I know that you weren't obviously playing when the team moved from San Diego to Los Angeles, but I mean, how did that make you feel? Did you feel betrayed at all? Did it feel like it was business as usual? And then especially with the way that the Chargers exited and the way that the A's are exiting Oakland, it feels sort of similar to me with how the picture being painted as the fans being a part of the problem. I know it's not so much as about the players, but from someone who is with that organization, who is in San Diego, did you feel like the Chargers might have done the city wrong a little bit?
Well, it was a gut punch. There's no question, but the city was also at blame because of poor leadership in the mayor's office. They could not reach a deal. They had tried and tried years after year. But for the fans of the Chargers, the people that stuck with us through thick and thin, and very similar to the situation in Oakland. When you think back to the beginning of the AFL, the Oakland Raiders really put Oakland on the map. And the San Diego Chargers moved from L.A. to San Diego in '61 and put San Diego on the map, made both those cities major league cities. And now both teams are gone. Now the baseball team is gone out of Oakland. And it's just, it's rough for fans. And it's just, as I said, it's a gut punch to anybody that followed either of those teams.
Yeah, Dan Fouts joining us on 95.7 The Game. Hall of Fame quarterback, played his entire career with the San Diego Chargers. Dan, just knowing you from your quarterback days to when you worked as a sports anchor, I know you follow all different sports, but have you been following the 49er quarterback situation over the last year or so?
Of course. The 49ers are my second favorite,
all right,
obviously, behind the Chargers. But with my background with the 49ers and having followed them, they're right on the cusp. And I think what Purdy did last year is so phenomenal. And I just hope that he's back to, 100% health. I think it's remarkable that he's already out there throwing and looking good, but it's such a tough injury. But he is the key.
Hey, how many quarterbacks were drafted during your career with San Diego while you were there?
How many were drafted afterwards? I'm sure they had quite a few. I don't know the exact number, obviously, but it seemed like there were new guys every year.
I mean, I'm saying when you were entrenched,
how many guys were coming for your job?
Yeah, they weren't looking for another starter, is what I'm getting at.
Well, back then, though, you needed a backup. And Mark Herman was probably my best backup. I also had Ed Luther for a while that played at San Jose State, two very good quarterbacks. So with the physical nature of the game back then, and you needed somebody to come in the game in case your starter got hurt. And the Chargers were lucky to have. And don't forget, also, early in my career, I had James Harris, who played for the Rams and was a great quarterback for the Rams, was my backup. So as far as drafting other guys besides that, those were the top three.
Well, and of course, the reason that everyone, Dan, is so focused on the quarterbacks in San Francisco is because they feel like they have everything else figured out. You got a great head coach. You got great weapons for the quarterback to throw to. You got an elite defense. But in a quarterback-driven league, and obviously you help forward that and Air Coryell, but now with how important the passing game is, I mean, is it crazy to think that the 49ers, just because they don't have a clear-cut, maybe top of the half, top 10 quarterback, it's unrealistic to win the Super Bowl, or do you not abide by that?
Well, it would sure be nice to have a Tom Brady as your quarterback. There's no question. But I think what Purdy did last year put the 49ers right in position. If he doesn't get hurt, who knows about the next game or if they win that game. So, I think what you got to do is you hate to have to use the word patience, but with a young quarterback like Purdy, and they have a decent backup in Sam Darnold, who is capable of playing well in this league. A lot of times it's systems that fit quarterbacks and vice versa that make for a successful team.
Dan, I'll tell you what. I'm sure you hear this a lot, but I'll reinforce it, man. If you and those Chargers played in today's day and age,
woo!
I mean, you got to be kidding me.
Well, I'm not kidding you. You're right.
No, you know how everybody says that, but man, you guys were something else with three receivers and Air Coryell and all that stuff. So we really appreciate your time, and we still think about you here in the Bay Area.
All right. Thanks, guys. And, hey, go Giants. Beat the Dodgers.
Yeah, good call. Dan Fouts.